One of the biggest mistakes foreigners make in Thailand is believing the first version of Thailand they experience is the real version. It isn't. The first version of Thailand is basically a dopamine overdose. Everything feels exciting, the food tastes better, people smile more, life feels lighter, the weather is warm, women are more feminine, and you suddenly feel visible again. Especially for Western men who've spent years feeling emotionally invisible back home. And this is where Thailand becomes psychologically dangerous, because a lot of men don't realise they aren't actually falling in love with Thailand initially. They're falling in love with relief. Relief from stress, relief from loneliness, from pressure, and from Western social expectations. Thailand can feel like somebody finally removed a weight from your shoulders. And when human beings feel emotional relief after years of pressure, they become impulsive, very impulsive. That's why so many foreigners make enormous life decisions during the honeymoon phase. Selling houses, sending money, moving permanently, and starting relationships after just 2 weeks, believing they finally found themselves. Meanwhile, their brain is basically running on emotional cocaine. You cannot trust yourself properly during the honeymoon phase. And that's the truth. Thailand feels magical in the beginning because novelty changes your brain chemistry, and novelty always fades eventually. That doesn't mean Thailand becomes bad. It just means reality eventually arrives. And the foreigners who survive long term are usually the ones who slow down during the beginning instead of emotionally sprinting into a new life. Now, this next one is probably the biggest trap in Thailand. And before anybody gets emotional in the comment section, this is not about all Thai women. That low IQ conversation helps nobody. The real issue is emotionally vulnerable foreigners arriving in Thailand carrying loneliness, insecurity, divorce trauma, aging anxiety, depression, or emotional emptiness. Thailand simply creates an environment where those emotional weaknesses become amplified. For many Western men, Thailand is the first place in years where they suddenly receive attention, affection, and femininity again, and emotionally, that can hit very hard, especially if you've spent years living a repetitive life back home. You wake up, go to work, come home exhausted, microwave dinner, watch TV, sleep, and then repeat until death, apparently. So when a woman suddenly makes you feel appreciated again, it can feel life-changing. But this is where many foreigners become emotionally reckless. They confuse emotional comfort with genuine compatibility, and they move far too quickly. Now add cultural differences into the mix. Thai communication is often indirect. Conflict avoidance is common. Maintaining harmony matters. Saving face matters. And family obligations matter. Many foreigners think they're entering a simple Western-style relationship. In reality, they're entering an entirely different social structure they don't fully understand. And this is why misunderstandings happen constantly. A foreigner thinks she never complains. Everything is perfect. Meanwhile, the Thai partner may simply be avoiding confrontation entirely. A foreigner thinks she only asks for financial help because she's struggling temporarily. Meanwhile, the financial expectations may be culturally normal from her perspective. You have to understand something important. In Thailand, relationships are often connected to family responsibility in ways many Westerners are not used to. And that doesn't automatically make somebody bad. But if you don't understand the system properly, you can get emotionally and financially overwhelmed very quickly. And another brutal truth: lonely people are easier to manipulate, and that applies globally, not just Thailand. The foreigners who usually survive relationships in Thailand long term are the ones who move slowly, keep emotional control, maintain financial boundaries, learn the culture, and observe actions instead of fantasy. And most importantly, they don't make another human being the center of their entire existence, because the moment your emotional stability depends entirely on one person, you become vulnerable everywhere on Earth, not just Thailand. Now, this next section, many foreigners completely ignore, and it's one of the biggest reasons people struggle here long term. Thailand is an extremely polite society on the surface, but underneath that politeness is a very complex social system. Hierarchy matters, social awareness matters, respect matters, emotional control matters. And many foreigners misunderstand Thailand because they interpret everything through a Western lens. Huge mistake. For example, a smile does not always mean agreement. Politeness does not always mean trust. Avoidance does not always mean forgiveness. And silence definitely does not always mean happiness. Thailand is a very socially intelligent culture. People observe constantly status, behavior, emotional control, generosity, manners, tone of voice, appearance. All of it gets noticed, even if nobody says anything directly. And one thing many foreigners fail to understand is this: Thailand often prioritizes social harmony over direct honesty. So instead of confrontation, you may get avoidance, indirect answers, passive behavior, and vague communication. And Westerners sometimes interpret this as dishonesty, but culturally it's often about avoiding conflict or embarrassment. Now obviously some people exploit this socially too. Humans are humans everywhere. Civilization is basically organized chaos, wearing polite clothing. But if you refuse to understand Thai culture properly, Thailand becomes very confusing. This is why some foreigners live in Thailand for 15 years and still understand almost nothing about the country beyond beer prices and dating apps. And honestly, those people usually remain outsiders forever. The foreigners who truly succeed in Thailand are normally the ones who become students of the culture instead of judges of it. Learn basic Thai, learn social etiquette, emotional restraint, how hierarchy works, what causes loss of face, because Thailand becomes a much easier place to live once you stop expecting it to operate like the West. Now this next part is boring to many people, which is exactly why so many foreigners ignore it and destroy themselves financially. Thailand can feel cheap initially, and compared to many Western countries, parts of it are cheaper, but there's a huge difference between living comfortably and surviving long-term sustainably. Many foreigners arrive believing their savings will last forever, then reality starts slowly eating away at them. Visa costs, healthcare, condo expenses, flights home, relationship support, nightlife, inflation, and currency exchange changes. And because Thailand feels inexpensive day to day, people often underestimate how fast years pass, especially retirees. 1 year becomes 3 years, 3 years becomes 10 years, and suddenly the financial maths starts looking very uncomfortable. Another thing nobody talks about enough: many foreigners try to maintain lifestyles in Thailand that they could never actually afford sustainably. Trying to impress people, paying for everyone, drinking daily, supporting extended families, acting rich because they finally feel socially important, and eventually reality catches them. I've seen foreigners arrive in Thailand looking financially secure, then slowly financially bleed out over time without even noticing it happening. And that's the danger. Not dramatic collapse, slow erosion. The smartest foreigners in Thailand are usually financially boring. They budget carefully. they prepare for emergencies, they think long term, and they avoid showing off, and they maintain stability, because one hospital emergency can humble people very quickly here, and aging in a foreign country without financial security is not a situation anybody wants. Now, this next part will upset some people, but it's true. Thailand attracts some amazing foreigners, but it also attracts deeply damaged people, people escaping divorce, debt, failure, addiction, depression, loneliness, identity collapse. And unfortunately, some of those people never actually heal. They simply relocate. Geography doesn't fix internal problems. You can move to Bangkok, Pattaya, or Phuket, but your mind still comes with you, unfortunately. And this is why some expat environments become extremely toxic. Constant negativity, alcoholism, bitterness, ego battles, fake success stories, fantasy lifestyles. Some foreigners build entire identities around pretending they've won Thailand. Usually, the louder somebody talks about how amazing their life is here, the more suspicious you should become. The happiest long-term foreigners are often the quiet ones. They have routine, purpose, balance, healthy relationships, and interests outside the nightlife, and they avoid drama. One of the smartest things you can do in Thailand is choose your social circle carefully, because some people will slowly drag you into destructive lifestyles without you even noticing. Now, this is probably the most important part of this entire video. Thailand is incredibly easy to drift in, and drifting feels good initially. No pressure, no structure, no stress, no responsibility. But eventually too much comfort can quietly destroy people, especially retirees. Without purpose, routine and discipline, days start blending together. Wake up late, coffee, phone scrolling, beer, bars, repeat. And before people realise it, years disappear. Thailand can become emotionally addictive because life here often feels easier than Western life. But easy does not automatically mean meaningful. That's the trap. Some foreigners eventually realise they escape stress, but they also escaped purpose. And without purpose, humans slowly deteriorate psychologically. That's why the foreigners who thrive long term usually build structure intentionally: fitness, learning Thai, business, hobbies, community, creative projects, and importantly, a routine. You need something bigger than just comfort. Otherwise, Thailand can slowly turn into passive existence instead of meaningful living. So, after all that I have just said, how do you actually survive Thailand in the long term? Simple. Slow down. Don't rush relationships. Don't try to become a hero. Don't try to become a king. Don't try to win Thailand. Learn the culture, respect the country, maintain emotional control, protect your finances, build a routine, take care of your health, learn some Thai, and stay humble. And most importantly, be honest with yourself about why you came to Thailand in the first place. Because Thailand amplifies who you already are. If you arrive stable, disciplined, and self-aware, Thailand can become one of the best places on earth to live. But if you arrive emotionally lost and chasing fantasy, Thailand can consume you. And that's the truth most foreigners don't hear until after the damage is already done. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you've lived in Thailand yourself, What would you add to the Thailand Survival Guide? Let us all know. Take care and ciao for now. Bye bye.